In this video, we will deploy machine learning API on Kubernetes environment. In last video, we have seen how we can create one small Kubernetes cluster with the help of Kind tool. And we have also seen how we can create a namespace for machine learning deployment. So in this video, we will take one step ahead and will deploy machine learning API within Kubernetes environment and within Kubernetes environment in a particular namespace. And if you haven't seen my previous video, I will provide the link in the description below. Okay, so now let's start. So in order to deploy any application within Kubernetes environment, we need at least two Kubernetes artifacts, which we call as deployment, and the second one is service. And now we'll go back to the initial diagram which we had discussed in my last video, which is about this. So if you look the worker node where my actual application would be deployed, it contains different pods where my application would be running in the form of container, right? And we have another artifact which we call as service, through which we will be accessing the application running inside pod, right? And now we'll see how we can define how many pods would be running within my Kubernetes cluster and what sort of container my pod will have, right? Because that's the role of deployment artifact. So if you look here, we would be creating one deployment artifact for the deployment of my machine learning application within Kubernetes. What it contains. So if you look the description or the details which we have written within this YAML file, you'll find that it contains lots of details. So first, it will have details around that it's saying that it's a type of deployment artifact because that's the meaning of this. And what we would be deploying, we would be deploying a replica of one. So that means we would be deploying only a single copy of my application. Okay. And within that application, how many containers it will have? It will have a single container. You can see it is saying a replica copy of one. And then we are defining the template. So what my pod will contain, right? I'm defining the spec as container. Within that pod, it will have a single container. And from where it will create the container, it will fetch the image from Docker Hub, right? So if you look the previous notebook where we had pushed this Docker image to Docker Hub, and that's what we are referring here, right? The same Docker image. And in order to pull that Docker image from Docker Hub, we need secrets, right? The credentials. And how Kubernetes will understand what credentials we need to use for pulling this Docker image from the Docker Hub. And for that purpose, we have another artifact which we call as secrets. So within Kubernetes, secrets are used to store all the confidential information, right? So you can create one secret based on your Docker profile. So I have already created one secret called registry credentials, and it is based on my Docker profile. So before running this command, you need to populate Docker registry server, which is docker.io, your user ID, email, and password, whatever you have used at the time of sign up. Once you'll supply this, you need to run this statement and it will create one Docker registry credentials. Okay. So that's the command we need to use. Once it's created, we need to specify that credentials within my deployment artifacts. And here we'll give image pull secret. And the name of that secret would be this one, whatever we have defined here. Registry credentials. That's what we are referring here. Okay. In that way, Kubernetes will understand that yes, we need to pull this image from Docker Hub. And in order to pull that image, we need to provide this credentials. Right? So whatever we have defined here. And also you can see that we have another parameter called image pull policy. So here we have defined it as if not present. So what it means, whenever you will start running your application, it will run this container, and if for the first time, it will try to pull that image from Docker Hub, and it will store within that container, right? So for the next time, it will not try to pull that image from Docker Hub, and it will automatically pick the container which it has already pulled initially for launching your container inside a pod, right? So that's the meaning of this. Then we have defined the name of my container, which is placement classifier container. I mean, it's just to denote what containers we are running, and we are just defining one name for that given container. Next, we have ports, so which means that at which port my ML application would be running, right? So my ML application is running inside this container, and inside that container, it would be listening at this port. So whenever any user or any application will send a request at this port for accessing ML API endpoint, it will process your request and it will send a response back to the calling application. Okay, so that's the meaning of that port. So in this way, we define any container within that pod. So here we have specified a single container, but in practice, it can have multiple containers, right, which will define within the spec section. Okay. Then we have very important concept around labels, right? So here you can see that we have one label defined within template section, and we have another label defined in the spec section of pod, right? So it's a very important concept, and we'll see this as a part of our example. Okay, so first we'll look the service definition, and then we'll come back to this deployment artifact to understand how it relates. So service, as we know, it's a logical abstraction for the deployed group of pods, right? So if we look the earlier diagram, so any application running inside my pod would be accessed by this service, right? So user will send a request to this ML API endpoint running inside the container, and it will hit service. The service will have a fixed IP address, and service will route your request appropriately to the given pod. But now the question comes, how the service will identify which pod it needs to invoke. Because in practice, in any Kubernetes cluster, thousands of pods would be running. And without any identification of these pods, it would be very difficult for service to route it correctly. And that's the concept of label. So label is just like a stamping, right? So you have defined a pod and you have stamped that pod with some unique number, and using that stamp, my service will understand that yes, we need to send that request to given pod, right? And now we'll see how we define it. Now we'll look service definition. So you can see it has a type called service, right? And within the service spec definition, you can see that it has selector is equal to app equal to placement hyphen classifier, right? The service will select all the pods which will have this label definition, right? And now we'll come back to my deployment artifact. And here, if you look, the label which we have defined for my pod inside the template, it's this, right? Label, and label will have the value this. So within deployment artifact, we have defined a pod, and we have given the name of that pod with the help of this label notation. And that's what we are referring from my service definition. We are referring this. Right? So in this way, my service will understand that yes, we need to route this request to the pod, which will have label defined like this. Okay. And also we can define some metadata for this label definition. I mean, that's used only for service. And you can also see that we are deploying this service within the namespace fast API -app -dev. Right? If you look the previous Kubernetes setup, we had defined one namespace, this one. We have defined one namespace, and we are deploying all our ML API within that namespace so that we can differentiate between what functionality we have deployed in that given namespace. And that namespace is only for ML API. Right? So that's what we have defined here, namespace. Services would be deployed inside this namespace, and similarly deployment would be installed within this namespace. Right? So in this way, we can define the namespace to ensure that it would be deployed only inside that namespace, which is particularly defined only for ML API deployment. Okay. So now we have understood the concept of this label definition. Okay. And we'll discuss about this. What is the meaning of this match label once we'll deploy our deployment artifact, and then we'll come back to this definition. The other important details for service is around these concepts. So you can see that it has definition called ports, and we have defined different type of ports. So it has very special meaning from Kubernetes perspective, and you can see that it has one target port, we have one called port, and we have node port. Okay, and we'll try to explain what it means. So port is used to expose your Kubernetes service for any application running inside the cluster, so that other pods within the cluster would be able to communicate to this service using this definition of port, right? So that is useful for any communication happening inside my cluster, so that other pods who will try to access this ML API can reach to this port and will access the ML API endpoint, right? So that's the purpose of port. The other is target port. So target port means whenever the service will receive a request, it will send the request to this target port, right? And this is the target port where we have deployed our ML API application. If you look here, my ML API application inside this container would be listening at this port. And that's what we have defined in the form of target port, right? The service will understand that, yes, we have received a request from customer, and we need to route this request to pod which is running using this label, and inside that pod it would be routing that request to the container which will be listening at this port, right? So that's the meaning of target port. The other concept we have called node port. So node port is used to expose your service externally, right? Because port is used for internal communication inside the cluster, and node port would be used to expose your service externally, and you can access that service with the help of node IP address. And what is node IP address? Node IP address is the worker node where you have deployed your application, right? So in my setup, I have created two worker node, right? And the IP address for that worker is this one, and for the second, the IP address could be this one. So using this IP address, we would be able to access ML API running inside my Kubernetes cluster, and we'll see how we can access it with the help of node port, right? And then we have simply defined this as type as node port, because we are exposing that Kubernetes service as a node port, and using the node port IP, we would be able to access the application running inside the container. So that's the purpose of defining this. But in practice, we define the type as load balancer IP, right? So which is another type of service through which we expose any service to the external world, right? Because it will also perform a load balancing, right? Because using node port IP, you can only access one of the ports, right? Because if we just go back to this diagram, using node port IP, you would be able to access only either this worker node or this worker node, whatever IP you will specify. But it will not route your traffic to both depending upon your workload, right? So that's the reason in practice we normally use the load balancer IP, which will automatically route a request to both the worker depending upon your workload. Okay. So now what we will do, we will simply run this statement, and here we are simply specifying Kubernetes create -f. -f means file, and where file is stored, I have stored it within Kubernetes folder, and within Kubernetes folder we have this deployment artifact. Okay, so what I will do, I will simply run this statement. Okay, so once it would be run, we would be able to check the pods, right? So in order to check how many pods are running, we need to run this command kubectl get pods, and then you need to give the name of your namespace. So we have deployed this pod within this namespace, and that's what I have given here. Okay, so simply just run it, and once you will run it, it will create a container inside your successfully or not. We can simply check the logs, or we can simply describe pods, and followed by the name of your pod, and here the name of my pod is this. Okay, so kubectl describe pods, the name of your pod, -m is for the namespace where it has been deployed, and this is the name of your namespace. Simply run this statement. It will show all the details happening inside that pod. So you can see it's scheduled, pulling image, successfully pulled, created container, and started container. So now you can see it's already running. And now we'll simply click this. You can see this pod is running. Okay. So now we'll create one service. So for creating service, again, we need to give same command kubectl create -f and the name of the file where you have stored it. We'll simply create it. Okay. And now we'll simply get. So you can see that it's defined. And now we'll try to access the application running inside my pod. Okay. And in order to access application running inside the pod, we first need to get the node IP, right? Because that's what we have defined here, node port, right? And in order to access any application running inside the node, we need to give node port IP. And the node port IP here is, you can either take this one or this one, right? So now what we will do, we will try to access Swagger UI. I'm just simply giving this one, and it has been exposed at this port, node port, and that's what we have defined here, node port. Node port is this, at this port. I have defined the node port IP address, the node port which we have configured here, right, and followed by docs. Simply run it. And now you can see that your application is running at this port, right? So we'll simply, and before that, before firing this command, we simply check the logs. And in order to access logs, we need to run this command kubectl logs and the name of your pod. What is the name of your pod? The name of the pod, we can pick it from here. And the name of my pod is this. Just pick it. Okay, and we will simply provide that value here, okay, and followed by the namespace where it has been deployed, and we'll simply run it. Now you can see it, right? So it's already running and it has received some request from my Swagger UI. That's what we can see it from here. And now we'll push some payment from my Python program with the help of request package, right? So I am simply sending the request and you can see it's placed, right? So here I am simply sending a data in JSON format in this way, and I am simply posting a request to this endpoint. And what is the endpoint? The endpoint, I have defined this as node IP followed by node port and the predict, which we have exposed as a part of ML API. Okay. Now we'll send another request. So I will send another request and it's for not placed. Okay. And now we'll check the Kubernetes log again. Okay, so we need to give this name. Okay, I will give this name. Just run it. And now you can see that it has received two post requests, right? So one post request this and the another post request this. That's what we have. We are seeing two post requests. Now I'll send some request from my Swagger UI to see whether it works or not, right? So first we'll simply copy this request and we'll paste it here. First try it out, paste it here and execute. And now you can see that it's placed. And now we'll check the logs again. You'll see another 200 requests, right, which we have received from Swagger UI. So in this way, you would be able to test your application running inside Kubernetes either with the help of Python request package or with the help of Swagger UI. Okay, we'll use one more approach where we will launch a Streamlight app, and using that Streamlight app, you would be accessing the ML API, right? So for that, I have stored the Streamlight app within frontend folder, right? So again, if you haven't seen my previous video where I have covered Streamlight app in detail, I will provide the link in the description below. So in order to access Streamlight app, Streamlight run, and this one is Streamlight app. Just run. So it will launch the Streamlight application. Okay. And before that, will show you one more thing. Here you need to make appropriate changes for this request.post, right? So whatever endpoint you have exposed, just provide that value here. Okay, as I have already modified the value based on the node IP and the node port, right? So in your case, it would be different. So just make sure that you update this endpoint based on your application configuration. Okay, so it has been launched. And now we'll provide some simple value. 90. Okay, and now we'll leave all the value default and we'll send it. Now you can see that we have received a response from this Streamlight app. And now we'll go back to Kubernetes and we'll try to check the application log. We'll check the application log again. And you'll notice that it would have received another post request. You can see it has received one post request from Streamlight app. I will show another concept around what is the use of this. That's what we had left initially. Okay. So what I will do, I will delete this pod. What I will do, I will forcefully delete the pod. I will delete it. Right. So because right now it's running. I will just show you because right now it's running. Okay, and now we'll simply delete it. I need to give the name of that pod, delete pod, and this one, and then just run it. So what it will do, it will once, as soon as you will delete any pod from Kubernetes, Kubernetes will automatically create that pod based on what we have defined here, right? Because here we have defined that it will contain a replica of one, and if something goes wrong within the Kubernetes environment, what this deployment artifact will do, deployment artifact will create a pod which will have label defined as this, right? And that's the meaning of selector here. So this definition is for deployment to understand which pod we need to create, and you can see it's creating, right? So initially it has been deleted and now it's trying to create it again. It's started 51 seconds before, right? So that's the role of this match label artifacts, right? So deployment will try to match the pod definition, and which pod it will pick that pod which will have this label definition, and that's what we have defined here. Okay, so this label definition is for service to identify which pod it service needs to invoke, and that match label is for deployment artifact to understand which pod it needs to restart if something goes wrong, right? So that's the purpose of defining two different type of labels. And now we'll check it again. It will take some time, and now you can see that it's finished. It's again started that container again. So we'll simply refresh it. It's running, right? So in this video we have seen how we can deploy any machine learning app within Kubernetes environment, and we have seen the entire pipeline, how we can create a deployment script for the deployment of your machine learning app, and then how we can access the app with the help of Kubernetes service. And we have used different approach for accessing machine learning API. It can be accessed either with the help of Streamlight app, or it can be accessed with the help of Swagger UI, or we can also use Python package for invoking the machine learning API. So that's it for now. I hope you like this video, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I request you to subscribe to it, and thanks for watching it again.